No Other Life presents Upstaged. Former self. There are so many people right now grieving in the world. When you look at the news and think of the people you know, the people you used to know, and maybe were closer to, it seems like we're all grieving someone who we've lost, or a relationship that has changed. With Parkinson's disease and probably many other degenerative conditions that you might find yourself experiencing over the rest of your life, one of the things that we grieve is our former selves. And it sounds maudlin, but it's very true. This is something that we all think about from time to time. We look down and see a hand that won't move or moves too much. We see legs and feet that seem to betray us, internal organs not functioning the way they should, our taste. All of these things may be gone for any one of us, and we may not have even realized when it was happening that we should be more attentive, more grateful for what it is that we still have in front of us. A silly example of this for me exists in the fact that many years ago I would go out to our local bagel shop on Saturday mornings and I'd pick up a black coffee, ice, so in a clear cup, and my wife wanted just a tad of milk or half and half, just a few drops. And one of the things I loved to do was to put the lid on, and I would hold the lid in one hand, kind of as if I was pushing the drink down into the ground. And I would pick it up from the table and just swirl it in such a way that I kind of made a tornado inside, and the white would mix with the brown, and it just was this amazing feeling as this gyroscopic action would take hold, and the drink would pull in the opposite direction of my hand. And I was aware at the time to appreciate that. I think any one of us would think that was just exceptional. I kid, but I did realize, and there was a time where I no longer had the mechanics. I no longer had the fluidity to make that very simple gesture, twirling my right hand. And I grieved. And I spoke about this about 3 years ago. And simply said, this is gone. And the point of my speaking at that point was to say, you never know what you're about to lose. So you need to take advantage of enjoying every single thing in real time as you live it. And this is advice that many of us have gotten over the years that have nothing to do with disease or getting old or dying. It's simply that you need to live in the moment and love what you have. But there's an interesting appendix to this story, because a few years ago I didn't have that motion, but now I do, and I can do that again. And I know that part of it has to do with ramping up my agility through exercise and coming back around to playing the piano and writing music and all of these things that at some point I thought, well, they're gone for good. And they weren't. But I needed to have trust and faith that they would either come back or they would come back in a different fashion. And I think that that really is what that I needed to learn at that moment in time. Now, I still grieve certain parts of me. There are many things that I wish were back to the way they were 20 years ago. But at the same time, that's a different version of me. I'm the same person, but all of us have something that's a little bit different in our lives today versus when we were in our youths. So I don't worry about it as much. But I darn well do make sure to realize that I have in my control far more things than I ever thought that I did. I have the ability to try to get better. I owe it to myself and the people whom I hold dear not to throw in the towel and say, well, today my finger twitched, so it's all over with. Or, oh, today I tripped on my way down the hall, so I guess, I'm never going to be able to walk again. You need to have the mentality that allows you to see both sides, to at the same time recognize that something is changing in you and to have come to terms with that. But you also need to be able to say, well, everything is a different day. Everything is something that may be a pattern, but there's also a strong chance that it's not. And I just encourage you to think about that as you go about your life. As you begin to grieve, and as you think more on certain things in your own life and the people around you, just think of those things. That was the track Grieve from my album Another Town. If you want to hear more of that track, I encourage you to rewind this podcast, play it again, rewind and play again, rewind, or head over to bandcamp.com. And if you haven't done so already, pick up this track or this album. I'll thank you greatly. Both Upstage and the No Other Life Project are independently conceived of and managed by me, Rick Seaholm, ad-free and without interruption for all listeners. I appreciate all your support. Please subscribe, leave a review, and do spread the word. It's the number one way to keep this going. Friends, you have no other life, and it's the grandest improv session of them all. Own what you bring to this scene and share it with all whom you meet.